Hello everyone. So 2022 has just started and most of us are figuring out their New Year resolutions. So in my case, like I don't go for resolutions for the entire year, but goals from month to month. That way I have a much more precise way of knowing what I am going to do in the rest of the month rather than rest of the year. So this approach has worked really well in the past year. Like I started off keeping goals for each month and I tried to complete them in terms of technology, fitness, and even personal level. So this year I am trying to do the same for the technology which I want to learn in 2022. I recently came across a video by Ben Award where he start off with the year by listing down the technologies he wants to learn for the entire year and then share his progress towards the start of the next year. So similar to that, I just want to list down the technologies which I want to learn for this month. Now, coming to the three technologies which I want to learn personally are GraphQL, which is a query language for optimizing the data flow from client to server and server to client. So GraphQL is this language. It has been around for a long time, but I didn't wanted to explore it much towards the previous years, and this year, like I'm trying to learn what it is all about and how do we use it. The second technology which I want to learn is Solidity. So Solidity is basically a programming language for Web3 development, you can say, or developing smart contracts to be more precise. So it is an object-oriented language and it is used by a lot of people who are scratching the surface is Web3. And I personally also want to explore this field a little bit in this year. So that is why the second technology which I am planning to learn is Solidity. The third technology which I am planning to learn this month is Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is a framework based on Java, which is used to develop backend APIs as far as I know. So again, this technology has been around since a really long time. And I want to just scratch the surface and try to understand how to do API development using Spring Boot. So those are the three technologies which I want to cover in this month. Other than that, the software which I want to learn is DaVinci Resolve. So like the entire 2021, all the videos that I made were edited using a software called as iMovies in the MacBook itself, and it has worked wonderfully well. Like this channel has already clocked in more than 18,000 views. So yeah, it worked really well in 2021. And for basic video editing, I think iMovie is sufficient. Like if you are a beginner and don't want to deep dive into editing much, iMovie is the best way in which you can convert your desktop recordings into YouTube videos. Now, DaVinci Resolve is basically a software which gives you a much fine-grained control over your video editing. So I had seen this software in the last year, but I resisted using it because I guess I'm lazy and iMovie was easier and a quicker way to do it. But this year I am planning to like improve the video quality which I post on this channel. So that is why I am scratching the surface with DaVinci Resolve. Now the few of the initial videos might not be great because I'm still figuring out this software. Like it doesn't have a steep learning curve for basic video editing, but hopefully by a few months or after a few months, I get expert enough to create or publish better videos on this channel. So that's the overall like goal of why I'm using DaVinci Resolve. Other than that, it gives you much more controls and options over editing. So let's just see how it goes in this year. So that is the software which I'm trying to like learn side by side along with these technologies for this month. Now, usually when it comes to learning technologies, I have a learning pattern which I generally follow, and that pattern is pretty simple. The first thing which I generally try to figure out is why this technology was introduced or what is the problem that a particular software or technology is trying to address. Now, just to take an example, I had started learning GraphQL just like 2 3 days back. Now, GraphQL is basically used to prevent underfetching and overfetching of data when you are trying to fetch data from your APIs or your backend server. I'm still trying to figure out GraphQL myself, so I don't know any more use cases right now. But I think that's the one of the few reasons why GraphQL is used. So I am learning from a crash course by Lethar. So I think it might be started off. Yeah, this is the crash course which I am uh, referring to for learning more about GraphQL. Coming to Solidity, I am referring to notes by Tanay Pratap right now and Neera David. So they have written a lot of resources on this. So I'm referring to that. In terms of Spring Boot, I already did a tutorial from Amigos Code YouTube channel. So that's the like learning resources part. So once I'm done with the high part in terms of a technology, then I go with learning the basics from online tutorials. I think I listed them down before addressing this point. So once I'm thorough with the reason why this technology is used, because as an engineer, you need to know where and why a particular technology might be useful or where it should be used. So that's the core emphasis of the reason we should know why the particular technology is used or where it can be used. Then I typically learn the basics of the technology from an online tutorial, usually from YouTube, because they are usually short, cover them in terms of a few couple of hours, and I am able to understand at least the basics of it. After that, after referring to a single tutorial, I usually start coding a app from scratch. The reason for this is if you follow like a lot of tutorials online, then it leads to a problem which is called as tutorial hell, where you like know or you know how to code from the tutorials, but when you are learning or building something from scratch, you end up into a lot of problems. So in order to avoid that, I generally go with a single tutorial and then start coding something from scratch for the technology. So that is the basic flow which I usually follow. And it happens that I don't go in a structured manner. That is, let's just say if I am done with Spring Boot online tutorial, it might not happen that I start coding app from scratch in terms of Spring Boot. I might stick up Solidity and then GraphQL. So it depends on my mood or the, I don't know, like whichever I feel like. But generally, I try to make sure that I am done with these three steps by the end of the month, not in continuous manner, but in like alternate ways or parallelly. So that is how I generally go with. And in terms of learning time, I usually get an hour free either before starting off my work, like I'm doing right now, or after I'm done with my work towards the end of the evening. So I usually don't have a fixed time of learning, but I generally try to give at least an hour every day for learning. Sometimes even that doesn't happen, but that's like totally fine. So I think that's it from my end for this video. And let's just see how the learning process goes by towards the end of the month. See you all at the end of the month, and we'll see how this goes. Goodbye.